Energy dominance. Tommy Aiello is the Senior Director of Government Affairs for the National Taxpayers Union. Great to see both of you here. Sam, let me start with you because I know markets are reacting to this, as you've seen now. Brent crude oil, oil prices over $100 a barrel. But talk to us about this announcement by President Trump, if indeed pulled out, Strait of Hormuz still controlled by Iran. What does that do for other nations that rely on that supply more heavily than the United States does?
Yeah, it's the Strait of Hormuz is an interesting thing, right? A lot of people have some misconceptions that America does rely on it, when in fact we really don't. However, we are still susceptible to the global economy, right? And so if prices go up overseas, Southeast Asia, Europe, we are also going to see prices go up here at home. Couple of things. We need to look at how we decouple American energy prices broadly, which is a much bigger conversation because people care about keeping their lights on and if they can afford their power bill. Now, leaving Iran before the Strait of Hormuz is kind of under control gives me a lot of concern because we are still susceptible to those markets, but it gives me a lot of concern for our European allies and our Asian allies as well. We should not be letting an overseas foreign regime, a terroristic regime, be controlling a major shipping line. That just shouldn't be a thing we talk about.
Yeah, obviously not a sweet move. Speaking of something sweet, Hershey on the podium today for the New York Stock Exchange, ringing of the opening bell. That's scheduled to happen just seconds away. And again, I was talking about this earlier, Tommy V. When the president speaks and says something, it impacts the markets when he's talking about Iran. So in this case, he's talking about, look, we may leave, again, even leaving Hormuz, open to this possibility of still controlled, that choke point still controlled by Iran. We may get out of there. The markets like it. Futures are up. The Dow is up, but the Dow futures are up around 500 points. Why is that?
I think the markets are looking for anything positive in this moment. We're capping the worst quarter in about 4 or 5 years. So, the market's really looking for anything that the president can say to give them some guidance for where the markets might be a month from now. And it's really important that the Strait gets open as quickly as possible. About 20% of the world's oil and gas flows through there. Of course, that's going to impact supply disruptions around the world. One thing we're not talking about enough is some of the other petroleum-derived products like fertilizer and helium. About 30 to 40% of all the world's supply goes through there. That's incredibly important for our farmers who are going to be planting crops going into this planting season. And then for helium, it's not just balloons, it's semiconductor construction. It's a critical component of semiconductors, and that's going to impact the whole economy. So the market's looking for these positives about where things might be about a month to 2 months from now.
Yeah, that's huge, right? In a conversation we continue to have right here, because you're right. It's not just the 401 gas prices, right? The $4 gas prices you're seeing, or natural gas at home, diesel fuel for the big trucks. That really hits hard in terms of the supply chain. Talk to us about that if you can, Sam. Just your thoughts there, because if this does continue to escalate, this trickle down effect, or trickle up, if you will, what does this do to the supply chain?
Yeah, it probably gives some short-term stabilization, but what I want to call out is that American energy dominance should not just be simply a slogan. We cannot let terroristic regimes control shipping lanes. It's just not a conversation that should be happening. And by letting that happen, yes, we might get some short-term reprieve, but what happens in 3 years? What happens in 5 years? American energy dominance is not just about today, it's about the future as well, and what the next generation will have to deal with. That's my biggest concern.
Right, especially considering exports coming out, obviously, from the United States. We do appreciate that. Joining us, Sam Romaine, Tommy Aiello. Again, as futures predicted, the Dow is up just about 500 points. Gentlemen, thank you. Great to see both of you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.